3-month-old baby that comes out of you. And I just wanted it to feel very real.
He showed her a still shot from his wife's delivery of their child.
It seems like Blake Lively is finished, as Megyn Kelly has been on a mission to reveal every falsehood Blake has ever told. The evidence she's presenting is completely dismantling Blake's defense.
I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have, because truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
You can rest assured, based on the investigation we've done, the text messages we have, the receipts that'll go along with the claim.
Megyn Kelly is bringing in her own lawyer to present key evidence that shows, once and for all, that Blake has been dishonest and manipulating the truth from the beginning. However, Blake's motives may be far more sinister and narcissistic than anyone could have anticipated.
Blake Lively was no victim. She was in control. She was in power, and she took over.
From using her close friend Taylor Swift and her husband Ryan Reynolds to pressure Justin Baldoni, to threatening producers with a film boycott if her outrageous demands weren't fulfilled, Blake's actions have been bold and manipulative.
She was such a brat that she wanted to control every scene, wanted to see all the dailies, wanted to do her own cut, and did her own cut of the movie. All this is very unusual for just an actress in the film, even if she's the lead, and that she's now tried to turn this whole thing into a PR victory for her to get past what appears to be the fact that she's egotistical.
Y'all, as we're seeing now, this situation runs much deeper than just a simple lawsuit. It looks like Blake had an evil master plan from the very beginning. By now, we all know that Blake Lively sued Justin, accusing him of planting a smear campaign against her. Justin, in return, has filed a lawsuit claiming that Blake has done the same to him. But this story goes way beyond what we initially thought. Before diving into all the newly leaked evidence, we need to take a step back and look at where it all began. And from what we're uncovering, it seems Blake's plot was in motion long before this public feud started. This goes all the way back to when Blake's reputation was engulfed in public backlash. And no, it wasn't about just Bond like she's claimed. It was her own miss me attitude that turned fans against her. Let me explain. During interviews to promote her in Justin's film It Ends With Us, fans quickly started to pick up on an unsettling vibe from Blake. Curious fans began digging into her past interviews, and oh boy, what they uncovered left many disgusted.
As often happens when these stars drop a movie, people start digging around for other interviews of them, etc. And it was just sort of a course of, wow, like, she seems like kind of a jerk. Wow, she's like kind of a bully. She's rather mean.
To salvage her public image, Blake hopped on her defensive horse and blamed Justin and his PR team for planting negative stories about her. As part of her Please Love Me Again strategy, she took the opportunity to do a New York Times piece, shifting the focus from herself onto Justin, trying to make him look like the villain while portraying herself as the victim. The only issue? There's now undeniable proof that the New York Times manipulated text messages and omitted crucial details, clearly aiming to cast Justin in the worst possible light.
You're literally removing text in between text and emojis to sort of make it sound worse.
But hold up, doesn't all of this sound just a little too familiar?
She has made herself into the new Amber Heard, and he is the new Johnny Depp.
Remember how Amber Heard did the exact same thing to Johnny Depp back in 2018 with that infamous piece in The Sun, where she painted him as a monster and herself as the victim? I mean, Amber even came out of hiding to show her support for Blake. But Blake made a huge mistake by taking a page out of Amber's playbook. I mean, just look at how disastrously it ended for Amber.
Now he's going full Johnny Depp on her to show that she was the bully, she was the one hurt him, and this guy who had, comparatively very little power was forced now to come out and tell the truth about Blake Lively.
Just like Amber, Blake's biggest mistake was thinking that her fans are stupid and that we wouldn't notice what's going on. Even though she claims Justin and his PR team are trying to make her look bad in interviews, sorry, but we all have eyes. We can clearly see how rude she is to interviewers. It's hard to ignore when the evidence is right in front of us.
But he would, so he'd suddenly start filming my hands or my feet. But what was interesting is that to him in that moment, my hands were telling so much more of the story than my feet. And I had to be so much more, it was sort of chicken or the egg. I don't know if I was more alive and awake as an actor, because every part of me was up for grabs while he's filming, my mom will call 7 times in a row. She's that person. She's the one who thinks that like on time 6, she just like didn't see that she was calling, so she's just gonna keep calling.
We can see how she makes everything about herself. Take this clip, for example. She was asked about her husband, but instead, she turned it into a pitch for her hair care line. It's clear she's more focused on promoting herself than actually engaging with the questions.
You turned around and you were just as supportive of Ryan.
Yeah. Is it like, and my hair company is like brown? Like, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy week.
And most of all, we can see how she is so tone-deaf to the theme of the movie, showing little regard for actual victims. In this next clip, it's painfully obvious how out of touch she is with the subject matter. It's hard to ignore when the behavior is so blatant.
This movie is going to affect people and they're going to want to tell you about their lives. So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Like I just location share you and then we could
No wonder her fans turned on her. Just like Johnny Depp's lawyers absolutely destroyed Amber Heard, Justin Baldoni's lawyer is gearing up to crush Blake Lively into oblivion. Literally. It looks like Blake's in for a tough battle ahead.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion. Okay, wait till you see this lawsuit.
Oh yeah, and fun fact, Megyn Kelly's lawyer is also representing Justin Baldoni. But as we've already mentioned, this whole situation wasn't just a desperate attempt by Blake to save her reputation. From the very beginning, it might have been part of her evil master plan to steal Justin Baldoni's movie away from him. There are countless text messages between Justin and Blake, as well as between Justin and the producers and editors. To prove it, the evidence is stacking up.
She used these allegations of sexual harassment. She used these allegations of bullying to try and leverage her position so she could be the de facto director.
Justin Baldoni, who, by the way, was not only the lead actor in the movie, but also the writer and director, seemed pretty stunned to find out that Blake had gone ahead and brought her own directors onto the film. And to top it off, no one was allowed to see it. Talk about a power move.
Executive producer to have a competing kind of a film is incredibly bizarre. When she starts threatening people and saying, I'm not going to promote the film, I'm not going to do anything unless you use my cut, that's when it starts to be awfully insidious.
And that's not all. Justin was absolutely gobsmacked to learn that Blake's husband, Ryan Reynolds, actually had a hand in writing some of the scenes. That's completely inappropriate, and the crazy part is, no one even discussed it with Justin. It's like they were trying to pull the strings behind his back.
the iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you now.
And let's not forget that Justin was forced to the basement with his friends and family during the premiere of his own film. Imagine that, being sidelined during your own big moment. It just shows how far Blake and her team went to take control of the situation.
Could have been one of the most beautiful nights of my life, career-wise. And literally, all my friends were not.
Blake Lively was such a brat that her and Ryan Reynolds specifically requested during the premiere that they did not want him to attend his own.
This is just more proof that Blake wanted to steal the film and make it all about herself. But now, the tables are slowly turning and things are looking really bleak for Blake. Justin's lawyer is ready to unpack a whole lot of evidence against her, and it's only a matter of time before it all comes crashing down.
Documents actually don't lie. People do. And it's important that everyone sees all of the documents that are involved in the case, because there are people that have been destroyed as a result of the allegations that have been made so far in this case.
So, without further ado, here are just some of the lies we now know Blake has been telling. Blake accused Justin of invading her personal space and showing up uninvited when she was undressed or with her infant baby. However, newly leaked text messages cast doubt on Blake's claim. From her own personal communication with Justin, it's clear that she actually invited him to her trailer while she was pumping milk for her baby. The proof is right there. Blake's message clearly states it, and Justin's reply shows he wasn't rushing to her trailer, especially if she was in an indecent state. This shows that Blake herself set the boundaries for what she was comfortable with.
She's
just an example of how she loves to play the victim. And then the one about, oh, he burst in on me uninvited when I was breastfeeding my child. She says we should run lines together. He's like, anytime. And she's like, come on over. I'm breastfeeding the baby in the trailer, but come on over.
Yep, Blake accused lead producer and best friend of Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, of showing her highly inappropriate and pornographic material. She tried to explain the incident away as a truly horrific episode of her being violated. However, her lawsuit admitted some pretty crucial context. For instance, the movie script included a birthing scene, and the video that was shown to her by the producer was actually of his own wife giving birth. That changes the whole narrative, doesn't it?
It's one that, because so often we see births in movies and TV, and they just look so fake. It's like a 3-month-old baby that comes out. And I just wanted it to feel very real.
And as we've since learned, the footage was actually quite artistic and done with taste, aimed at capturing the beauty of giving life. There was nothing pornographic or harassing about it at all. It seems like Blake's portrayal of the situation was a complete misrepresentation.
He showed her a still shot from his wife's delivery of their child, which I've also seen. You can't see any R-rated parts at all. It's actually a really lovely artistic photo.
About her weight and body, essentially fat-shaming her. The situation escalated so much that Ryan Reynolds supposedly summoned Justin to his penthouse, where he reportedly scared and scolded him. But Blake didn't stop there. She also dragged her husband into the mess and even used Taylor Swift to manipulate and berate Justin. In more leaked messages, Blake threatened Justin, claiming she was the great Khaleesi from Game of Thrones and that Ryan and Taylor were her dragons. Just listen to how cringeworthy it sounds when Megyn Kelly puts it into perspective.
She says we should run lines together. He's like, anytime. And she's like, come on over. I'm feeding the baby in the trailer, but come on over. Like, it's written there, black and white. She invited him in, and a lot of women are comfortable having someone around when they breastfeed, so it's not so weird, especially out in Hollywood, for him to assume, yeah, I guess she's fine with this because she did let him in. Ryan Reynolds comes off terribly. He had them over to their penthouse in New York, and Taylor Swift was believed to be there, according to this latest complaint. Not within the purview of an actress. And then after that, they have text messages in which Blake tells Justin, this is in the latest lawsuit, I know you've never watched Game of Thrones, but when you get around to watching it, you'll realize I'm Khaleesi. These are my dragons, and I have the best dragons in the business, right? Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift.
But y'all, maybe Blake never watched Game of Thrones to the end, because if I remember correctly, things didn't exactly end well for her now, did it? I'm just saying, she might have picked the wrong comparison if she's aiming for that Khaleesi vibe.
I'm sorry, Blake Lively comparing herself to Khaleesi has to be one of the wildest cases of self-fulfilling prophecy seen to date. Like, we're making fun of her for saying that, but what's more Khaleesi than being a once-beloved public figure who's stayed to win it all and lost it in a fiery rage? Like, it is giving twins. This is absolutely accurate. And just like in Game of Thrones, in the end, those dragons did not mean.
Okay, so here's the deal. Justin did go to his personal trainer and ask, hey, how much does Blake weigh? But Blake got wind of it, and as we've seen by now, blew it out of proportion once again. There's a clear pattern of her taking things out of context. The truth is, Justin actually suffers from severe back issues, and there was a scripted scene in the film where he was supposed to lift Blake up. So it was crucial for him to know her weight to ensure he didn't hurt himself or, God forbid, hurt Blake. There was no fat shaming or discussing her body. He simply needed to know her weight to make sure the scene could be done safely. But other leaked messages completely discredit Blake's absurd accusation. Messages between Justin and Blake showed just how supportive he was when she worried about her body image after giving birth. In one message, Justin reassured her, reminding her that she was beautiful and strong. Another allegation making headlines is that there was apparently no intimacy coordinator on set. And in case you don't know what an intimacy coordinator is,
an intimacy coordinator's job is to be there to facilitate the filming of existing and agreed upon intimacy. Okay, they're there to basically broker and manage consent and safety. That's what they're there.
As per Blake's lawsuit, she claims that there was no intimacy coordinator present to oversee intimate scenes and that Justin Baldoni improvised physical intimacy that hadn't been rehearsed, choreographed, or discussed with her. However, the little issue here is that Blake's lawsuit kind of contradicts her own words. In an interview, she explicitly states that yes, they did hire an intimacy coordinator. So her own statement completely undermines the very accusation she's making in the lawsuit.
Chemistry with Justin also was off the chart, and like you always have a vision. So talking about how sometimes you were even the intimacy coordinator in some of those sexier scenes, like we saw you.
That shouldn't be happening, by the way. I just want to be clear that you should not be the intimacy coordinator. You should definitely hire intimacy coordinators, which we did have.
So which is it? If you're still a little on the fence about this, how about these actual text messages between Blake and Justin? In those, Blake's response doesn't exactly show that she was all that concerned about whether there was an intimacy coordinator on set or not. In fact, in several interviews, even long before Blake sued Justin, he praised Blake for how she took control of their intimate scenes. So it's not like Justin was trying to cover his own behind either. He was actually giving her credit for handling it well. The whole situation is starting to look even more suspicious.
Many instances where I honestly just tried to get out of the way and let her take the lead. And especially when it came to intimacy and all of that, like she had a very clear vision and she was telling me what she thought would work, what she thought would be. Honestly, there were many instances on set where I just let the women figure it out and I took a step back and kind of jumped in more as an actor in those scenes than even as a director.
And the cherry on top. Here's Blake caught on camera clearly directing Justin on how to pull her in for a kissing scene. Judging by their body language, it looks like Blake was in control and Justin was just along for the ride. In her lawsuit, Blake referenced one scene in particular, but when we break it down, almost every point backfires on her. First, she claimed there was no sound in a slow dance scene they filmed. Then she said Justin spoke out of character during the scene and that he leaned in and said, "It smells so good." But guess what? Justin's lawyer released the actual footage and it has sound, proving Blake was twisting the truth. Watch the clip for yourself. Does Justin come off as a monster, or does it seem like Blake tried to play the victim? And by the way, Blake was also acting out of character, not just Justin. The whole thing was pretty harmless. Pay attention to Justin's "it smells good" comment, way more innocent than Blake made it out to be.
I'm probably getting Well, it's not bad, it's my body.
And here's another kicker. Blake's lawsuit claimed, and I quote, "nothing needed to be said because again, there was no sound." But oops, isn't this Blake herself telling Justin that they should talk in the scene? This just further contradicts her own claim that there was no need for sound, and it makes her whole narrative fall apart even more. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you all make of this insanity and the plot twists. Goodness me, you won't believe this. Blake has now slammed Justin Baldoni and his lawyer with a gag order to stop them from publishing any and all text messages or other evidence against her. Heaven forbid Justin defends himself. But here's the kicker.
Now that she's had her shot against him and she's severely damaged him with that New York Times piece and this complaint, which she managed to get leaked, now she wants a complete gag order for Blake. Why should Justin be able to release snippets to the media without the full context? That's what she said. That's what she did.
So, what do you guys make of all this? I suppose the question is a simple one. Has Blake been lying all along and playing the victim, with her supposed evidence now blowing up in her face, all thanks to Justin Baldoni and Megyn Kelly's lawyer? Or is there some truth to her claims, and is she really a victim in all of this after all? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, hit that subscribe and notification buttons. Make sure to check out more of our videos as we cover the hottest celebrity news.